I don't know about you, but this one hit me like a locomotive. I just watched Train Dreams and I want to talk about it. Train Dreams is set just after the turn of the century and follows the life of Robert Granier. Most of his life before he meets his wife, Gladys, is aimless and without purpose. They meet, they quickly fall in love, they marry, they have a daughter, and start building a life together. Granier works in the logging and in the railroad industries, which keeps him apart from his family for long stretches of time. He feels like he's living through the worst time of his life as he's with his family trying to figure that out, but looking back, it was actually the happiest time of his life. He and his family had goals, he had his family, he had dreams and aspirations he was working toward, and the love of those around him. After returning from a job one day, he arrives back to a devastating fire that devoured his home and claimed the life of his wife and daughter. The rest of his life, Granier is waiting for the unlikely and ultimately impossible return of his wife and daughter. In that process, he loses track of time. He loses connection to other people. He is swallowed whole by grief and time in this film, and we follow him to the end of that life journey. Joel Edgerton plays Robert Granier, and I don't think I've seen him in anything besides The Great Gatsby, but it's probably been about 12 years since I've watched that film. He has mastered the art of playing the quiet moments between chaos in this film. He carried with him an understated grief that spoke volumes. By the end of the film, I was drawn in to believe that this was a full life lived in Edgerton's performance. Felicity Jones plays Gladys, the wife. She serves as a catalyst for Granier to dream and to let his guard down. He lives in a harsh reality, but Gladys represents the warmth and the delicate aspects of life that he might not have known otherwise. Her appearance brings limitless hope in his life, but her disappearance brings unbounded sorrow as well. There's a great supporting cast that sort of weaves their way into Granier's life, giving opportunities to either impart wisdom or to connect on a human level. William H. Macy plays Arn, who's sort of the logger past his prime, so he plays with dynamite and pontificates on life. He helps Granier see the beauty in the world, reflects on how precious resources are, and tells us all how time catches up with us. Carrie Condon plays a Forest Service worker who Granier connects with later in life. She also lost a spouse in a tragic incident, and that allows Granier to talk through his experience and sorrow for the first time in his life. Nathaniel Arcand owns a shop in town and sometimes helps Granier with odd jobs by providing work through hard times. After the fire, he's the only one who visits Granier from the town. Really a great example of how people can come into your life for seasons when you need them the most, or maybe they need you, but the seasonality of people in your life. Clint Bentley is our director, and he's pretty new on the scene. His only other feature-length film is a movie called Jockey. I haven't seen it. If you have, let me know if it's worth watching. Brazilian cinematographer Adolfo Veloso really shines here. He also worked on Jockey and several other movies I haven't seen. I've only seen a couple of Terrence Malick films so far, but you can really see the influence here. It's very meditative cinema that's focused on nature more than dialogue. This movie is so astonishingly shot. Cameras moving among trees and along rivers and through train tunnels to eventually expose human silhouettes. It will have your jaw on the floor in moments. Wide shots really show the expanse of nature at that time and just how small and susceptible human beings were in the face of Mother Nature. The use of silence and the pacing of this film might not be everyone's cup of tea. I love slow cinema though. In a time where we're constantly moving, I relish the opportunity to live in this type of environment. Granier's child gets entertainment from the shadow play off of a candle, and building a fish trap might be your whole evening. I think we were more grounded in that time, and it's really illustrated beautifully in this film. And as Granier loses those he loves and the world gets more chaotic, the film shows us a loss of a sense of time that he's not able to be grounded in anymore. Bryce Dessner from the band The National oversaw the music in this film. It has elements of American folk. It has orchestra. It's certainly atmospheric, and it carries the film when the dialogue is sparse. Sometimes narration simply doesn't work for me. It seems like once The Shawshank Redemption had success with it, it started popping up everywhere. But I think Will Patton's narration in this film really works. So much is internalized with Granier that we really need that additional voice to explain some things that are happening in his mind and his life and to give us background. It's not overused, and it gives a feeling of folklore to this tale. Also, just a quick shout out to the costume department, because Joel as Granier was really wearing that shit. I think they took the time to find or create quality pieces from that era that were actually properly distressed for a man in his line of work. Just pause the movie and there's your postcard. I found myself in awe so many times while watching this film. I can see this being a comfort movie of mine in the future, just to put on and enjoy how it looks. If I must pick one, I'm going with this shot here of Granier on the tracks. To me, it symbolizes Granier's life must move forward no matter what happens to him. He loses his wife and child, but the track of life goes on. Time will continue to march on its path, and it will do so without consulting you and without consoling you. It's also reflective of his life's work, bringing modernity to the country by carving through the wild forest. Each mile of track is a step closer to a life that Granier ultimately will have a hard time understanding and grasping. He goes from being instrumental in a new and booming form of transportation to decades later going into town and seeing a man on the moon on TV. The breakneck speed of progress is tough to grapple with. One of the themes expertly explored here is that of an ordinary life and ordinary pain. There is no eureka moment. There is no great hero's journey. But Granier's experience is one you can connect with on a deep level. To find love and to lose love is universal, and though you feel pain, you must keep moving forward, or your life could entirely pass you by and the grief can linger indefinitely. The death of the frontier is also called out immediately in the narration, explaining that there used to be places in this country that were wild. Granier is our guide through that transition. He starts out felling trees with handsaws in large groups of men. Later in his life, we see more raucous groups, smaller groups, but men using mechanical chainsaws and other new equipment. When he goes into Spokane at the end of the film, the buildings seem alarming and to tower over him. Most of the time we're with Granier, it's in nature or in his one-room cabin. The juxtaposition and clear display of progress is almost too much to handle for the viewer. It doesn't really seem to consume Granier, though. He's not consumed by new technology or progress. He actually doesn't seem to have much interest in it at all. The idea that nature will remain and remember and ultimately win is also huge here. William H. Macy's character talks about cutting down trees being a thing that hurts men's souls, whether they know it or not. And there's a moment where Carrie Condon's character says, "You could hardly tell a fire came through here," the same fire that claimed Granier's wife and child's life, because the forest grew back so quickly. But Granier remembers. Nature is something we might try to tame, but through fires and floods and other mechanisms, it will always have the upper hand. The fire symbolizes the split in Granier's life, quite literally, but moments shape us, and how we react to them informs who we will be moving forward. It marks a rebirth, but unfortunately for Granier, it's a birth into a harsh new reality that he can't quite cope with. There are shots of the cabin being swallowed by nature or after being consumed by fire. Rails that carried important cargo not even 10 years ago sit abandoned. People and places and stories are consumed by the progress of time. There is an impermanence to everything on this earth that I think we all have to begin to contend with at certain moments in our lives. I'm still trying to wrap my head around either the hallucination or the dream or it was real or whatever that Granier experienced in the moment his daughter showed back up years later for one night. She looked like she'd been living in the wild all that time. Was it a way for him to let go of that grief so there's hope that she survived, or was it something else? I'm not sure. There's also a moment where Granier crosses paths with a bear who's probably looking for food. It's the dead of winter, but the Bear completely ignores him and moves on. Granier has either connected so much with nature at this point that he's part of it and just another passerby, or he's lost so much of his human spirit and will to continue that in this moment he's a ghost, not to be seen or meddled with. This is a film that seems like it has all sorts of life lessons and themes and symbolism, and I'm sure I missed a ton. If there's anything I missed that resonates with you, please share it with us in the comments below. The pivotal moment for me in this film is the final scene in the plane. It really got me emotional. He had just been to town and saw himself in the mirror for the first time in a decade. It feels like Granier is starting to move with a sense of purpose finally after all of these years. Better late than never. He experienced something so foreign to him and new on that plane ride, and that's where the magic of life happens. As the plane dives down for a maneuver, Granier's not expecting it. He's not ready for it and likely thinks he's about to die. The seatbelt grips him in a way that mimics his mother's embrace, and his life begins to flash before his eyes. He again gets to live moments from the happiest period of his life with his wife and daughter, and life finally clicks for him. It's such a moving moment. This movie isn't going to be for everyone. If you know you don't like slow cinema or movies with minimal dialogue, this probably isn't going to work for you. Even as a fan of slow cinema, I myself also found myself wishing that there was something a little more compelling in the first 25 minutes. I do think the visuals and the back half of the film more than make up for it, but if it was a little more compelling at the start, a lot more people could probably connect with this movie. This movie is bleak to boot, so if you need some grand moment of closure or a clear path of growth, you don't really get that outside of the implied experience and the importance of the plane ride. So keep that in mind. I was captivated by this movie, and it's one that I will no doubt watch again. And I give it 4 spools. If you call yourself a movie lover, I think this is one you have to check out. I love a cradle to grave story, and this one is exceptional in its honesty about how life carries on with or without you participating in it. So experience what you can, cherish what gives you joy, and find new things to keep the fire burning. That wraps it up for Train Dreams. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you want to check out the Patreon, I have one price, $3, gets you early access, member shoutouts, help me pick movies, ad-free content if we get to that point. So if you're inclined, check that out. But I just appreciate you being here and discussing this movie with me. If you want to be here for the next one, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you then.